counter video to the propaganda, the phantasmagoricals. Pyros apparently officially entered that category. Crazy stuff. I mean, really. People talking about molecules and single-celled organisms and even, single cells having wills. Okay, so just take the word will and fuck it. Just say, no, we're not going to pay any attention to what that word is meant forever. No, we're just going to make a new meaning for the word. It's just disgusting. Now anything that moves, anything that does anything, it has a will. So screw it. You don't need a nervous system anymore. You don't need any of that stuff. No, you just need to be able to do something. So if a hair grows, it has a will to do that. It willed itself to do it. Didn't do it by mechanical forces imposed on it. No, it willed it to happen. I mean, fuck, it just doesn't make any sense. It's just insane babble. So I will, again, throw the hard, cold truth water on top of this. It's not really a conversation because it's not directed at me, because no one will post a damn video response to any of my damn videos, bastards. But anyway, well, let's get to it. We could even reduce our will with all our sophisticated biology and psychology, this complex brain with all this complex programming. We could reduce it all to basically just levels of reflex. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. We have mechanical reflexes. Okay, we're not going to call that a will. Okay, I whap you in the knee and your knee pops up. You're not going to call that a will. All right, this doesn't have anything to do with the word will, that your leg would respond that way. And technically, as you go in through our brain, in through our psychology, just about everything that happens in there, or probably everything that happens in there, is just another reflex. It's just a hammer hitting the right thing, and then there's a response. I mean, it is programming, and that's all it is. And so, maybe it's 5,000 reflexes required for me to utter the word will, but that's all they are, is a chain of reflexes, of reflexive reactions. And we can sort of see that in ourselves. When somebody says a word, we have a reflexive reaction. Our brain throws out some associated words reflexively. It doesn't do it with any kind of nuance or sophistication. It does it based on our life experience and what we've associated those words. The strongest connections exist between these words. And there's some ambiguity just based on the fact that these reflexes get tied to each other, and so they can be circular and they can do all kinds of eddies and flows inside of our reflexive brains. But the end result is still going to be the product of cause and effect. There's nothing magical happening in there. It's a psychology, okay? And it's a psychology that is controlling the organism in just the same manner that a reflex is doing it. It's just layers of reflex. It's just a million reflexes versus one reflex. And that's the distinction. And microorganisms, things without neural pathways, don't have any reflexes. Okay, they just don't have them. They have some mechanical, circumstantial characteristics that make them rubbery, or that make them, change their shape, or that will make parts on them activate and deactivate, or whatever. But I mean, there's no nervous system. And let's understand that most of these words we use to describe reactions and actions in the world are based on how a nervous system reacts to a world, not how a mechanical device does. But theoretically, we are a mechanical device. I mean, no one likes to think of it in those terms. It's not a pleasant thought. But realistically, we are a machine. We are a programmed machine, and without the programming, we're not going to behave like the machine. We're not going to think, we're not going to feel, we're not going to do any of that crap. It's not going to exist. Will is not going to exist anymore. You drill just the right hole in the gray matter, and it's gone. Okay, the reflex is broken. Anyway, so this conversation's just gotten so, this talk, whatever that is. I mean, it's just so insulting to science. It's insulting to our intelligence. I just, and what, do people engage in this? Why? Because they have to find some way to glorify life. They have to find some way to propagandize, to make it seem like more than it is. Because the reality isn't pretty enough. It isn't beautiful enough. They have to aggrandize the story because they know that, the attractiveness is based on reflexes. Okay, it's based on programming, subjective mush that has no integrity. So they realize that, and so they have to come up with something to build up the story a little, because they can't just say, oh, it's a beautiful picture. They have to try to give it some integrity, because they know the word beautiful. They know in their little logical brain that word means absolutely nothing scientifically. And that's the problem. So that they're just going to contrive a story. They're going to try to contrive a mission for matter, that it's out there seeking to be something. It's just willing itself to turn itself into something. Little atoms are floating around saying, oh, I wish I could be a reflexive organism, so I must find some other atoms to combine with so I can become a reflexive organism. And then when it's a little reflexive organism, it's saying, oh, I don't have a trunk, and I don't have an anus, and so I have to join up with some other parts so I can have a trunk and an anus, so I can really be something. And and then they get that, and then they're, oh, well, I need wings, or I need a brain, a big brain. Yes, if I have a big complex psychological brain full of bullshit, full of a bunch of convoluted reflexive eddies of nonsense, then I will really be something. And so this is all happening on the molecular level. All the molecules are striving to become, to arise. Oh, fuck, this is worse than religion. I mean, there's really no excuse. Like I said, people 2,000 years ago had an excuse to make up complete stories of bullshit, complete nonsense. They had an excuse to look for the gods and to try to find some easy explanation for the fucked up world they lived in. They had an excuse. Nobody now has an excuse. No one after Darwin, after Mendel, after even Dawkins, no one has an excuse.
Play this stupid game of, let's make life magical. Let's put the golden horn, let's screw it on its little head, and so now it's a magical life thing. Let's glue on some wings, and, we'll have some glitter dust packets on it, so when it shoots through the air, the little glitter will fly, and it'll all be magic and pretty and wonderful. I mean, it's just so disgusting. This is not philosophy. This is just religious propaganda. There's no evidence anywhere. I mean, these assholes keep running back to quantum theory to justify these idiotic notions that every time we conceive of reality, we affect reality. No, that's just not fucking true, okay? I can model reality in my head, and it's not going to fucking affect what's out there one motherfucking little tiny bit. And the fact that when we do experiments on the smallest little particles we can find, and the fact that we have to basically hit them with giant boulders and to see what they look like at all, and we're surprised, oh, well, look, we had to influence them to look at them. Well, of course we had to, because they're so damn small, we have no other way to look at them, because the photons we're hitting them with are as big as they are. I mean, God, this really this doesn't require explanation. I mean, the fact that the answers we're getting on the subatomic level are not clear and, whatever the right word would be, consistent with what we observe on all the other levels of science is not a huge surprise. I mean, they're the smallest things on Earth, and we can't see them very well. And so now we're just going to make up stories. We're going to draw all kinds of phantasmagorical conclusions about how cause and effect is no longer in place, based on the fact that our experiments are kind of bizarre and strange when it comes to looking at particles that small. It's just so... Well, whatever. I mean, people can do whatever the hell they want, but this isn't scientific. This isn't fair, it's not honest, it's not real philosophy, it's religious propaganda, it's wishful thinking, it's UFO theory, it's you know, it's just such bullshit, and I'm calling you people on it. I mean, there, I called you on it. Finger is pointing at you people, saying you are full of shit, and unless you can back your crap up with some kind of logic, just something that has something to do with something real, not some theoretical crapola math bullshit about subatomic particles. I mean, quit using that as an example of how the universe works, okay? Because the known science, the stuff we know is that goddamn elements have properties. They are dictated by fixed forces that dictate how they can behave, and then, you know, for life, it's all about natural selection and the progression, the complexification of a design blueprint attached to a DNA molecule. Attached, part of it's the substance of its configuration dictates the evolution of living organisms, and that's the way the fucking game works. There's no goddamn unicorns, no shiny, sparkly glitter, none of that shit. So just knock it off, all right? Come up with the goods. Come up with the goddamn logic or a fact, or quit preaching this babble, this baby talk.